take with us the defense. Yeah, I thought our defense, as I mentioned post game, wasn't great for 4 quarters at all times, but overall against that quality of opponent, I thought our defense gave us a chance. So obviously, offensively, what can we do better? I know everybody's saying make shots, but I feel even before that, I thought our spacing was awful at times. You know, I mean, just getting guys to the corner, open the court up, use the entire depth and width of the court, getting more organized, especially with our second unit, and allowing Dario to be a part of that offense. So we know that there's going to be growing pains trying to incorporate 2 new players in Russ and Dario, but the offense was definitely a positive, and I felt offensively the spacing, the screening, the execution could maybe help the offense a lot as well.
You mentioned Dario getting more touches with that second unit having Jamal and Russ. You guys are both used to having the ball in their hands. What's the solve for kind of trying to balance that out? Is it running more kind of hard sets, less read and react? Is it?
No, it's. They were switching every pick and roll. So, it's simple. Like, all right, so you're right. Jamal's going to have the ball in his hands. Russ will have the ball in his hands. But if they're going to switch those actions, and Dario's got a small on him in the post, he's proven he can be a guy that punishes that switch. We got to at least give him a chance to make a play. There's a play where Jamal and Dario played side pick and roll. They switched. Jamal fed Dario in the post. They ball watched. Russ cut right down the gut, got fouled, 2 free throws. So when I say play through Dario, I'm not saying Dario's got to score 18 points for us tonight, but we just can't be dribble the air out of the ball. We've got to get organized, move the ball, move bodies to generate even better looks than we did. With that being said, we all know, and we generated 25 wide open threes. Well, you said it, not me. Well, you didn't say it. You illustrated it. Motioned. We didn't make a lot of wide open threes. We got 46 rim attempts, made 23. So just think about that. We generate a ton of wide open threes. We generate a ton of rim attempts. Now we got to finish better. We just got to step in and make some shots. The flip side of that, like I grabbed a guy like Peyton. I said, Peyton, my challenge for you is I'm not saying don't shoot the ball, but you should never have a game where you shoot 0 free throw attempts. You're too young and athletic, and you're a hell of a finisher. Like, sometimes catch the ball, attack with momentum to the rim. And they understand it. No one's trying to miss shots. But I think on one hand, yes, you're open, you can shoot the ball, but also look to impose your will a little bit and play with an attack mindset. And there's a delicate balance in there.
When there are guys who don't have the reputation yet for making those shots, what's the balance for you as a coach between telling them to a certain extent, take the open shot when you have it, and what other teams might consider playing into their hands by taking those shots?
Well, I think each situation is a little bit different. There was I talked to Peyton about 2 plays in particular, and I'm just using Peyton as an example. He's not the only one. But if Russell Westbrook's going to get downhill, he's going to get into the teeth of the defense. And Peyton's man went over to trap the box, and Peyton never moved. He stood in the corner. As his man comes, he should be right behind. That should be a lob dunk. As the ball gets middle and Dario's on the rim, Peyton, again, we can shake out of that corner with momentum, so now you're going and catching and playing downhill. I use a reference, and Peyton probably doesn't even remember Luol Deng, but Luol Deng was great at that, of going and catching and getting into the heart of the defense. So, but you're right, it is a balance, Bennett, because you're telling our guys all off-season, all preseason, coming back at nighttime, working on your shot. Because there are going to be certain guys that teams are going to dare to make shots. And so, yes, to make them and to keep the defense honest, you guys prove that you can step in and shoot it. But when we are struggling to shoot threes, well, you have to have some different tricks in your bag, and it just can't be, I'm just going to shoot it because I'm open. Sometimes you got to say, well, they're leaving me open. Let me do something else to help myself and my team.
Coach, you've seen a lot of great guards in your time as a coach when you're on basketball. Where would you put James Harden in kind of the pantheon of all-time great guards?
Pantheon, that's a good word usage, Marlo. I like it. He's definitely up there. I think if you look at James Harden's NBA career, his body of work, you've seen kind of, depending upon the team and the role, but he's one of the greatest scoring guards that like in NBA history. His ability to play pick and roll, shoot the step back 3, create his own shot, and then obviously when the Clippers were healthy, he was like, all right, I'm going to be more of a playmaker with this team. And now there is no Paul George. There is no Kawhi right now. So you saw him in Game 1 looking to be very aggressive offensively. rebounded well. He had 8 assists. And so, James Harden is a guy that is going to be regarded as one of the greatest scoring guards in the history of our game, in my opinion.
You mentioned that, but also you talked about how the league had informed you that we were going to see more FIBA physicality, and that also appears to have been a lie. So, with the free throw rate actually up this season, what have been your instructions for Christian working on that assignment and trying to keep it in foul trouble?
Like, a lie. This is a blatant lie by Matt Moore. Well, in our game, I don't think it was a blatant lie. I mean, it was, they shot 12 and we shot 10. So, I mean, I thought there was a lot of letting them play in our game. But with James Harden, obviously, you have to be ultra-disciplined. Even Norman Powell. Last year, I think the Clippers led the NBA in free throws generated on being fouled on jump shots. So what does that mean? You got to make sure that you're contesting, but not hitting. You got to make sure you're giving them room to land. If you're flying by the side of them, not chest to chest. And James Harden obviously is a free throw artist. He knows how to stick his arm out there to get the free throws. He knows how to use his shot fakes before and after the dribble to get you lifted. And I thought CB's discipline against Shea was outstanding. Like Julian, he's got to be more disciplined. He left his feet 3 times in game 1. So it's, again, every opportunity for these guys to go out there and show some improvement. And, the thing that I don't think people realize is that the Clippers are a different team. They were number 2 in defensive rating in the preseason. They hired Jeff Van Gundy, and I think Jeff's doing a hell of a job. And Ty is letting him coach and be really involved with their team, especially their defense. And we thought OKC was a very good defensive team and handsy and forcing turnovers. I think the same thing can be said about these LA Clippers. They were all over the place defensively, forcing turnovers, which ignited their break. So that's going to be a challenge for us as well.
Yeah, Michael, you have Russ now, and the fact is, like, he has expressed that he is a lot more comfortable when he has the ball in his hands. He can play with anybody. He's a lot more comfortable when he has the ball in his hands. How are you with a guy like Jamal, a guy like Nikola, that you do want to play through, balance what Russ does his best with the ball in his hands with having Russ fit in with the other players that you want to have the ball in their hands?
Yeah, what you love about Russell Westbrook is that, he's a 17-year vet. And as I mentioned with James earlier, kind of like as your career changes, your role changes sometimes. And as in his 17th year, I think Russ has gotten more comfortable and maybe a little bit more used to playing off the ball, being in the dunker, cutting out of the corners. We know that he's a one-man break still to this day, one of the more explosive players in the league. But there are going to be times when, if he's out there with Jamal, we need Jamal to have the ball. When he's out there with Nikola, we're going to play through Nikola. When Russ is out there with Dario, playing through Dario on the elbows and the low post. And he understands that. I mean, this is not going to be just the Russell Westbrook show. He's coming to a team that is a ball movement, body movement team. With that being said, as I told him this summer, I still want Russell to be Russell. I want him to come in and play with that attack mindset to try to impose his will on the game. And now it's just getting used to and comfortable with playing with the Jamals and Nikolas. And the more he does that, the more comfortable he'll get.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, everybody.